It appears that Jack Ma is back. But does that mean Alibaba is back? At least for now, Alibaba shares are hitting 1 month highs with Jack Ma, the founder, finally resurfacing after 3 months. Alibaba hit 1 month highs, rising about 5.5% on Wednesday. The reason for the rise is that co founder Jack Ma has finally made a public appearance in China after being incognito for about 3 months. And that may be a bit strange for a headline to drive a stock, but this is China we're talking about. And in China, people can go missing for the rest of their lives. Alibaba was reaching new all time highs in late October as it neared Singles' Day and the holidays. However, the stock was quickly cut down on issues with the IPO of Ant. Really, the issues were with Jack Ma and things he said publicly that did not sit well with the CCP. Then there were worries about not seeing Jack Ma for a while, as well as concerns that Alibaba would be delisted from the New York Stock Exchange. So, with Jack Ma back and not having been disappeared by the CCP, let's take a look at Alibaba. And now we're looking at a monthly chart on Alibaba Group Holdings, and the symbol is BABA for disclosure purposes. I do not hold any shares of Alibaba at this time. Now, as a side note, this might be interesting to a few of you out there because this chart, at least with respect to 2020 to the present, is relatively similar to gold that we just looked at. And the symbol for gold that I looked at in the recent video is GLD. And what's interesting is, first of all, that Alibaba has a very nice move, somewhat predictable, on the way up. And it crested here at this point, and it's on its way down, similar to the cresting in gold. Now, moving down here into volume, not going to be able to see too much here, but into the MAC, you can see also a very nice cycle, up, down, and then back up, and this is where I called the downside of Alibaba. Now, there is enough separation between the fast line and the slow line here at this point that we could see a reflection. Same thing with gold. Now, let's go back on up here and see Alibaba. It was cresting at this point, but it came through here, reflected, and went back up and then back down, at least in the shorter cycle. And you'll see that potential when you get to the weekly chart. But for now, this chart here showed that it was cresting on its way down. Again, we may have a reflection here at this point because there's still a pretty good separation between the fast and the slow line. Moving here into the MAC histogram, you can see pretty much the same thing. We are dropping down here, and it's possible we could get a reflection back on up. Now, I think that's going to be temporary. Here, you see in the price rate of change that the fast line has come through the slow line and it's coming back up. Now, I would imagine that this sawtooth is going to come up here and then head back down again and probably pierce through that slow line once more. You can see the relative strength is weakening at 58.83. Also, into the stochastics, you can see that the fast line is now underneath the slow line and heading down. And then, of course, the Williams, you can see that cycle up and down and back up, and it certainly looks like we're coming back down again. So back up to the price chart. Once more, there is some time for a reflection. Once we get to that weekly, you'll see what I'm talking about. And for those looking at GLD, you can see the same possibilities in that reflection. So let's now go to the weekly chart. And now we're looking at the 2-year weekly chart on Alibaba, looking at these cycles. Again, very nice, very smooth, somewhat predictable cycles. Moving on down here, and it looks like we are getting a reflection given the recent news. Now, I don't want to be too confusing, but once again, for those looking at gold, there seems to be the possibility of a reflection like which we're going to see with Alibaba, potentially see with Alibaba. Again, nice cycle through here and coming on down, and you can see the very beginnings of a basing bottoming and the potential of a reflection back on up. We're near that zero line, so there's still plenty of strength here, and you can already see in the price that the price is getting that reflection at least in the last day or so. But you can see that there in the MAC. You can see it also in the histogram as well. Very nice here in the price rate of change. Same thing. Everything is bottoming and basing, looking like it wants to head back on up. Same thing in the relative strength index, as well as the stochastic and the Williams. Now, with regard to the price chart, you can see that bottom and basing here and that strong move on up. With gold, it's not necessarily as apparent, but you can see GLD in the weekly chart of the MACD. You can see, such as with Alibaba, the reset down near the zero line and the potential for a bottoming and a basing and then a reflection back on up. But that's the weekly chart, not the monthly chart. The monthly chart shows the separation gives enough time for a reflection, and as well as in the price chart, leaves enough room for a reflection both in Alibaba and in GLD. But my long-term forecast is still calling for more downside in both. Again, in the short term on the weekly, there may be a reflection heading back on up, but it's only temporary in my humble opinion. And for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.